All right, listener, so you're thinking about getting a dog health plan.
And you want to make sure you're making the best choice for your furry friend and for you.
Absolutely, and we're diving deep into your research to help you do just that.
You've got some great material here, lots of great research.
There's a lot out there, but sometimes it feels like information overload.
Right, there's a lot of noise.
Yeah.
So let's cut through all that and get to the important stuff, those golden nuggets that are really going to help you save money and stress less.
Less stress. I'm always on board with that, especially when it comes to my pup. But one thing that always trips me up is all the lingo. Like, what exactly is a dog health plan?
Yeah.
It sounds like health insurance.
It is.
Right.
For dogs, right.
Exactly. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
It's all about managing those vet costs, helping you plan for them.
Okay.
Think of it like spreading the cost of your dog's care over time
Okay.
with monthly payments, instead of getting hit with a giant vet bill if something unexpected happens.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm guessing it's those unexpected situations that make these plans so valuable.
Absolutely.
Like, that time my dog ate an entire bag of Halloween candy,
Oh, no.
chocolate and all, emergency vet visit, talk about sticker shock.
Oh, I bet. And that's the perfect example of why having that coverage for emergencies is such a huge benefit.
Right.
Because you're not just covered for accidents. Like if your dog suddenly gets sick, that's covered too.
Yeah, that peace of mind is priceless. But what about, the regular checkups? I feel like those can add up too, especially with all the vaccinations and tests and things.
You're right. And a lot of plans actually cover a good amount of preventative care, like those annual wellness exams and vaccinations.
Oh, okay.
And here's a pro tip from your research. Those regular checkups can actually save you money in the long run.
Okay.
Because catching a potential problem early is always cheaper than treating it later on.
Right?
So think of it as an investment in your dog's long-term health and your bank account.
I like the sound of that. Yeah.
An investment. Yeah, it's like, why wait for something to become a major problem?
Right.
Or a major expense when you can nip it in the bud?
Exactly.
So preventative care, emergencies, what else? What about dental? I feel like that's often a separate thing.
Yeah, great point. Dental care is often overlooked.
Yeah.
But, it's really important for your dog's overall health. And you know what? Some plans actually do cover dental cleanings and even extractions.
Whoa. Okay. So we're talking about like potentially saving on everything from routine visits to like surprise emergencies, even dental care.
Yep.
That's huge.
It is.
No wonder these plans are becoming so popular.
Right. It's all about being prepared. Being proactive. But I know what you're thinking. There are tons of plans out there.
Yeah.
How do you actually choose the right one?
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to ask, because it feels so overwhelming. Like, where do you even begin?
Okay. Well, first things first. Your dog.
Their age, breed, any health issues they might have.
Right.
All of that factors into what kind of coverage you'll need.
Okay.
Because a young, healthy pup has very different needs than, let's say, a senior dog.
Right. And I would imagine certain breeds are known for, like, shall we say, expensive health issues?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Like right here in your research.
Yeah.
Large breeds are often prone to joint problems. So you want a plan with strong orthopedic coverage.
Okay.
Or brachycephalic breeds, like pugs and bulldogs, they have those breathing issues.
Right. Right.
And those can lead to big vet bills.
So knowing your dog is step one.
Yes.
What's next?
Okay, this is where a lot of people make mistakes. It's the fine print.
Oh, no, not the fine print.
I know, it's boring.
Yeah.
But trust me, this is where those aha moments are hiding.
Okay.
We need to talk about things like deductibles,
Okay.
copays, and annual limits.
Whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
Already lost. What are those exactly?
Okay, so think of it this way. A deductible is the amount you pay out of pocket before the plan kicks in.
Okay.
So if your deductible is, say, $500 and your dog's vet bill is $700, you pay the first $500.
Okay.
And the plan covers the remaining $200.
Okay, that makes sense. What about a copay?
Okay, a copay is a fixed amount you pay each time you visit the vet,
Okay.
regardless of the total cost.
All right.
So let's say your copay is $50.
Okay.
You would pay that every time you take your dog to the vet, whether it's a simple checkup or a more complex issue.
Got it. So the deductible is like a one-time thing before coverage starts.
Yes.
And the copay is each time you see the vet.
Correct.
What was the other one?
Annual limit.
Annual limit, right?
That's the maximum amount the plan will pay out in a year.
Oh, okay.
So let's say your plan has an annual limit of $5,000. If your dog's vet bills go over that amount,
Okay.
in a year,
Yeah.
then you are responsible for the difference.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
This is getting real.
Yes, it is.
So you're saying I need to like pay close attention to all these details
Yes.
when I'm comparing plans
Absolutely.
because they can really impact my out-of-pocket expenses.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to ask questions either. If something in the policy is unclear, call the provider, get some clarification.
Okay, good advice. You mentioned vet networks earlier.
Yeah.
I was wondering about that. Like,
Yeah.
I love my current vet. Do I have to switch if I get a plan?
You don't necessarily have to switch. Some plans have broader networks than others, so you just want to check if your preferred vet is included in the network before you sign up.
Okay.
It's all about finding a plan that fits your existing care preferences.
Right. Okay. Starting to see how much goes into choosing the right plan.
Yeah.
It's definitely more than just picking the cheapest option.
Absolutely. It's an investment
Yeah.
in your dog's health and well-being, and just like any important investment, it deserves careful consideration.
Well said. I'm feeling a lot more confident about this whole process now.
Great. It sounds like you have a good handle on the key considerations, the different types of plans, what affects those monthly costs,
Right.
and the importance of reading the fine print.
Yes.
What stands out to you as the most important factor?
Honestly, it's that sense of security. Like knowing that I wouldn't hesitate if my dog needed like expensive treatment.
Yeah.
It's like I could just focus on what's best for them
Yes.
without worrying about that financial burden.
That's exactly the kind of peace of mind these plans aim to provide.
Right.
Allows you to be a more confident pet parent, knowing you're prepared for whatever might come up.
Okay, yeah, I'm sold on the idea. But I have to admit, even with all this great information, there's still a tiny part of me that's like, are there any downsides to these plans?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it shows you're thinking critically about this decision.
Yeah.
You know, it's important to weigh the pros and the cons. And while there are many advantages,
Yeah.
there are a few potential downsides to consider.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Okay.
Lay it on me. What are those potential drawbacks?
One thing to keep in mind is that even with a plan,
Yeah.
you'll likely still have some out-of-pocket expenses.
Oh, okay.
Like we talked about, those deductibles and copays,
Right.
those are designed to share the cost of care. So it's not like you're completely off the hook financially.
So it's not like a free pass to unlimited vet visits.
No, not exactly, but it does provide that safety net.
Okay.
So those costs are more manageable.
Right. Okay.
Another thing to be aware of is that some plans have waiting periods.
Okay.
This means there's a certain amount of time after you enroll before the coverage kicks in for certain conditions.
So like if my dog develops like an illness a week after I get the plan, it might not be covered right away.
That's a possibility, yeah, depending on the specific plan and the condition. Waiting periods are usually in place to prevent people from, signing up only after their dog gets sick.
Right. Right. That makes sense. To prevent people from like gaming the system.
Exactly.
Are there any other catches I should be aware of?
One more thing. Pre-existing conditions.
Pre-existing conditions. Okay.
So if your dog has a health issue that existed before you enrolled in the plan, it might not be covered.
Okay.
Where the coverage might be limited.
So if my dog has a history of like allergies, for example, the plan might not cover treatment for those allergies.
That's right. Pre-existing conditions are a common exclusion in many health plans.
Yeah.
Not just for dogs, for humans too.
Right, right.
It's all the more reason to consider getting a plan while your dog is young and healthy.
Right, okay. This is all really helpful.
Good.
I'm like starting to see the bigger picture now.
Yeah.
It's not just about the benefits, but also about understanding the limitations.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, as they say. The more informed you are, the better equipped you'll be to make the right decision for you and your furry friend.
Right.
And remember, we're here to help you break it all down.
Yes, you are. And you are doing a great job of that.
Thanks.
So we've talked about the practical stuff.
Yeah.
The types of plans, the costs, the potential downsides.
Yeah.
But there's like a whole other layer to this, right?
Absolutely.
The emotional side of things.
Yes.
And that's where things get really interesting.
It does.
So let's dive deeper into those emotional benefits.
All right, sounds good.
What are we talking about here?
Okay, so think about it this way. Imagine your dog needs an unexpected surgery.
Right.
Or a specialized treatment.
Okay.
Knowing you have that financial safety net in place
Yeah.
can really take a weight off your shoulders emotionally.
Right.
You can focus on your dog's recovery without that added stress of wondering how you're going to pay for it.
Yeah, that makes total sense because when you're already worried about your dog's health, you don't need that financial anxiety on top of it.
Right, exactly. And think about those tough decisions that sometimes come up in pet care.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be more likely to consider a costly treatment if you knew you had help?
Mm-hmm.
Could it maybe ease the guilt of having to make difficult choices, knowing you've done everything you can?
Those are heavy questions, but they're so important to think about.
Yeah.
It's like having a plan isn't just about the money.
Mm-hmm.
It's about having the freedom to make those choices
Yes.
based on what's truly best for your dog,
Yes.
not just what you can afford.
That's exactly it. It empowers you to be a more confident and compassionate pet parent, knowing you have that support system in place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm starting to realize how much this goes beyond just the financial aspect.
Yes, it does.
It's about that deep bond we have with our dogs and being able to care for them without that added burden of financial worry.
Exactly. Ensuring their well-being on all levels, physically and emotionally.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here, the practicalities, potential downsides, emotional benefits.
We have.
What's the one thing you really want our listener to take away from this deep dive?
I think the biggest takeaway is this. Dog health plans are about so much more than just money. They're about peace of mind, about empowering pet parents to make the best choices for their family members, and strengthening that incredible bond we share with our dogs.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Thank you.
And I think it's something every dog owner can relate to. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listener with a final thought to ponder.
Right, sounds good.
We've been talking about all of these amazing benefits of having a health plan, but what about the emotional toll of not having one?
Interesting. What are you getting at?
So you're saying like when that unexpected illness or injury happens and you're suddenly faced with this vet bill that you weren't prepared for. Exactly.
It's a tough spot to be in. You're already worried sick about your dog, and then you're hit with this like added financial pressure.
Right, right.
It can be really stressful.
And sometimes those tough decisions have to be made, like can we afford that surgery
Right.
or that specialized treatment? It's heartbreaking to think that like finances could play a role in those choices.
Yeah, and even if you can afford the care,
Yeah.
that unexpected expense can totally throw your whole budget off track.
Right.
Lead to debt, sacrifices in other areas of your life, and a lot of unnecessary worry.
Not to mention the potential guilt and second guessing.
Absolutely.
Did I do enough? Could I have done more? Those are tough emotions to grapple with.
They are, and that's what we're trying to avoid here.
Right.
Having a plan in place
Yeah.
can alleviate so much of that emotional burden.
Okay.
It's like having that safety net.
Right.
So you can focus on what really matters,
Yeah.
your dog's health and well-being.
Yeah. It's like taking that financial worry off the table so you can make decisions with a clear head and a full heart.
Exactly. It's about empowering pet parents to be the best advocates for their furry friends, and ultimately, isn't that what it's all about?
I couldn't agree more. So for our listener who's been taking all of this in, what's the next step? What action should they take based on what we've talked about today?
Okay, well, first things first. Review that research you've gathered. You've got some great information on different providers and plans.
Right.
Now it's time to really dig into those details, the coverage levels, costs, those deductibles and annual limits that we talked about.
Right. And don't be afraid to ask for help. I mean, your vet can be a really valuable resource in this whole process, right?
Absolutely. They can provide insights specific to your dog, their breed, age, health history,
Yeah.
and they can also help you understand what types of care are most important to prioritize based on your dog's individual needs.
Right.
So it's a team effort.
It is. Okay. So once you've narrowed down the options, what's the best way to make that final decision?
Trust your gut.
Okay.
You've done the research, you've talked to your vet, you've weighed the pros and cons.
Yeah.
Now it's time to just choose the plan that feels right for you and your dog.
And remember, there's no shame in asking for clarification.
Oh, absolutely.
If anything is unclear,
No.
you know, those insurance providers, they're there to answer your questions.
They are. Don't be afraid to advocate for yourself and your dog. It's their health and well-being that's on the line.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listener with one final thought.
Okay.
Imagine that feeling of relief.
Yeah.
Knowing you've made this smart, proactive choice for your dog, you're prepared for those unexpected moments, and you can focus on just enjoying all the joy and love that they bring into your life without that financial worry looming overhead.
That's a beautiful image to end on.
It is, and it's the reality that awaits so many pet parents who choose to, invest in their dog's health with these plans. It's about peace of mind, it's about empowerment, and most importantly, it's about love.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. We hope you found it insightful and helpful as you navigate the world of dog health plans.
Until next time, take care of your furry friends and yourselves.
Well, think about it. What happens when that unexpected illness or injury hits and you're suddenly faced with a vet bill that you just weren't prepared for?
That's a really tough situation to be in.
Yeah.
You're already so worried about your dog. And then on top of that, you've got this financial pressure.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It can be incredibly stressful.
It is. And sometimes, those really tough decisions have to be made.
Yeah.
Can you afford the surgery? Can you afford the treatment? It's heartbreaking to even think that finances could play a role in those choices.
It's true.
Yeah.
And even if you can afford the care,
Right.
That unexpected expense
Yeah.
can really throw your whole budget off.
Absolutely.
It could lead to debt, sacrifices in other areas of your life, just a lot of unnecessary worry.
And not to mention the guilt,
Yes.
the second guessing.
Absolutely.
Did I do enough? Could I have done more? Those are really tough emotions to deal with.
They are. And that's what we're trying to avoid here.
Right.
Having a plan in place can really take away a lot of that emotional burden.
Okay.
It's like we said, having that safety net so that you can really focus on what matters,
Right.
which is your dog's health and well-being.
Yeah, it's about taking that financial worry off the table so you can make those decisions with a clear head and a full heart.
Exactly. Yeah. It's about empowering pet parents to be the best advocates that they can be for their furry friends.
Right.
And ultimately, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So for our listeners who have been, with us this whole time, taking all this in, what's the next step? What action should they take based on what we've talked about?
Well, first things first, go back and review that research that you've got.
Okay.
You've got all this great information on different providers and plans.
Right.
Now it's time to really dig deep into those details, the coverage levels, the costs, those deductibles, the annual limits.
Yeah.
All that good stuff.
And don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yes.
I mean, your vet can be such a valuable resource in this process.
Absolutely. They can provide insights that are very specific to your dog, their breed, age, health history, all of that.
Yeah.
And they can also help you understand what types of care are most important to prioritize.
Okay.
Based on your dog's individual needs.
Right.
It's a team effort.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so once you've kind of narrowed down your options, what's the best way to make that final decision?
At the end of the day, trust your gut.
Okay.
You've done the research, you've talked to your vet.
Right.
You've weighed the pros and cons. Now it's time to just choose the plan that feels right for both you and your dog.
Yeah, and remember, there's no shame in asking for clarification.
Oh, absolutely not.
If anything is unclear, those insurance providers are there to answer your questions.
They are. Don't be afraid to advocate for yourself and for your dog. It's their health and well-being.
That's on the line.
That's on the line. Exactly.
Okay, well, on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Yeah, I think so.
We hope you found it insightful and helpful.
Absolutely.
As you navigate, the world of dog health plans.
It can be a tricky world.
It can.
But,
But we're here to help.
We're here to help, and you've got this.
You do.
Yeah.
So until next time, take care of your furry friends.
Yes.
And yourselves.
Absolutely.